Alrighty, guys. We are continuing our stack of book reviews, getting through. Um, in case you missed it, we're going to be probably upping the pace of the book reviews. Probably going to go to one book a week, at least for a little while, because we're really backing up. It'll probably, if I continue, we were at 1 month, so then I moved it to 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. Now, if we continue, it'll probably be till August before all of these book reviews come out. So we're going to bump it up to a book review week for a little while and see how that goes. Yep. Yep. So this so today is I can't speak. Oh my god, the lights are getting dim and can I change the lights? Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte. Remember everything, achieve anything. A proven method to organize your digital life and unlock your creative potential. So, creating a digital brain. Let's see if I can fix these lights. The Home Assistant. There's a YouTube channel that this is all about automation, home automation, and he makes this little joke about Home Assistant, and I can just hear it in my head. All right, so let's fix that, and then turn that off, and then turn. Wham bam! Yay! Look at there, more light. Bright? Yeah, bright. Bright is right. I think it is. Bright? Is it bright or concentrate? That's bright. Let's do concentrate. All right. Yeah. Okay, so Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte. So just got through reading this on an audiobook, actually. It's good. I like it. Praise for building a second brain. Who we got here on the back? We got Tiago has put a magnifying lens on the best practice of external capturing to keep our heads open for effective thinking and creativity. This is a well-written, cogent, and useful manual for staying clear in the knowledge worker world. David Allen, Getting Things Done. So, if you have ever read the book Getting Things Done, I haven't yet, but I have heard tell of the book. I first heard of it by C.G.P. Gray, the YouTube channel guy. He talks about the Getting Things. He had talked about the Getting Things Done on the podcast that he was a part of for a little while. Hello Internet? Yeah, it was Hello Internet. He talked about the Getting Things Done book. And one of the things that he talked about was getting things, having a place to put things, like immediately. You just have one place where you put all your notes, and then you sort it from there. But that was part of the Getting Things Done. So this is very kind of about that. It's about building a knowledge reference system, a note-taking system, based off the fire hose of information that we gather now. It talks about using all of these digital tools, or using all these tools, more than likely digital tools, to handle all of the huge volumes of information we get to. I'll talk about the book and how it's affected my own system, and a little bit later. But let's do the little blurb on the inside of the book. We have a revolutionary system to enhance your productivity, think more creatively, and remember and utilize ideas that excite you. For the first time in history, we have instantaneous access to the world's knowledge. There has never been a better time to learn, to create new things, and to improve ourselves. Yet, rather than feeling empowered, we are often left feeling overwhelmed by this ceaseless influx of information. The very knowledge that was supposed to set us free has instead led us to the paralyzing fear that we'll never know enough, never remember enough. Thoughts, ideas, and learning need to be developed to become more than a momentary spark. They have to be packaged up and sent through time as notes to your future self. Your ideas must become part of something outside yourself, your digital support system that allows you to use your precious brain space to unleash your creative potential. Now, in this eye-opening and accessible guide, productivity expert Tiago Forte, I assume that's how you say his name, shows each of us how we can easily create a system to leverage your best thinking. With the second brain, we can harness the full potential of our thoughts and the information we consume before they fade from our minds. As a trusted and organized digital repository of your most valuable ideas and notes, a second brain frees you from self-doubt, supports you when you are forgetful, and empowers you to accomplish everything you set your mind to as your most productive and creative self. Wow, that is a mouthful. And Tiago Forte is one of the world's foremost experts on productivity. He has taught thousands of people around the world on how timeless principles and the latest technology can revolutionize their productivity, creativity, and personal effectiveness. He has worked with organizations such as Genentech, Toyota Motor Corporation, and the Inter-American Development Bank, and that kind of makes me think that he worked with those three companies. And that's it. I'm not knocking the guy, but it just seems that way, the way it's written. And appeared in a variety of publications such as New York Times, The Atlantic, and Harvard Business Review. Find out more at fortelabs.co. And there is on the back right there. Yep. Cheese. Reading this book feels like being let in on a secret, an absolute must-read for anyone interested in personal knowledge management. Writer Carol, the author of the bullet journal method. That's another method of usually physical note-taking method. It's like a free-form journaling method that ends up being more like an organizational thing that you use to I think more critically, it teaches you how to index. You just write your page down. You have like an index, and you write what's where on the index, so you can find it later. Or like a commonplace book kind of method. But anyway, so this book talks about the core of the book, which is it code? Yeah, I think it's code. Yeah. The core of the book, it outlines the method, which is a three-letter acronym, which is capture, organize, distill, and express code. So capture. So you find some way to, anytime you come across any piece of information that could be remotely useful, you just stash it away immediately. Maybe you don't even read it immediately. So I think going through this, I'm going to talk about the things that I've tried and the things that I'm using now, just as a practical example. Not that I want to interject too much in order, but I think it might be a little more useful than just talking about this in the abstract. So capture. I have two methods. I have my immediate capture I have my Apple Watch, where if I have something need to make a quick note of something and I'm on the go, I'll make a reminder immediately on my phone. I'll just say, hey, she who shall not be named, remind me to do blah, 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 and she gets the translation, the dictation horribly wrong, and I do it a couple of different times, but eventually we get it written down and I'm off to the races. And I can look at it later and move and either put that as an action item, put it on my schedule, or figure out how I'm going to deal with it and clear out this queue that I've created right here. The other thing that I've been using lately is a thing called Readwise, and it's just they have a highlighter that you can make a Chrome plugin. There's a plugin for Chrome extension. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a Chrome extension that you can add, and it lets you, when you click on it, it'll save a reference to it to your Readwise account. And you could also highlight things on the article as you're going if you want to actually capture something like right immediately. You can do that right on the page. It's really great. And then you can go to their Readwise app or whatever, and then you can see a list of everything that you have, and I can review those things. It's like a queue that I can come back to later and organize it later. So that's the next step. So that's my capture. I have this captures it almost immediately. If I'm on the go or if I'm on the web or something like that, I'm usually using Readwise app. There's also Pocket and Matter, and there's a few others where you could take like web snippets and save it for later. I liked Readwise because it handled just about everything. But I think the critical feature is I watch a lot of YouTube talks, and this lets me just, because I had like this humongous bookmarks folder of tech talks and stuff like that. And I liked having it on hand because when I do a search or whatever, it would, if I started try to find the title that I'm looking for, it would come up in the search results a lot faster because it's bookmarked for me. It comes up faster on the search results so I could find it again later. But that got out of hand like very quickly. So, but I could do this. I can, instead of bookmarking it when I'm watching a tech talk, either I want to watch it immediately, or if I want to make sure that I can get back to it later, I'll just go ahead and hit Readwise, and I can look at it later, and then I can process it. And the next step is organize. So that's where I process things. So that would be the step whenever I get a moment or whatever, I'll clear the queue out of the reminders and get it and set up action items for however I need to handle each of the things that I remind myself on things. And I have the Readwise account. Occasionally through the week, I'll look at my Readwise account and I'll take little articles and I'll sort it. And I was like, do I need to keep this? Is there a note that I want to take? I can write a note about what I kept, and then I can archive it, and I can find it later because it's in this place. It's in the Readwise account. I can find it later. Same thing with email. My email is almost always at 0, or we try to get to it every single day. We try to get 0 things in the email inbox. So I either delete it, archive it, or if I need to schedule something, I go ahead and immediately schedule it and I get it out of my inbox. If there's something I need to do, I go ahead and put it on a to-do list and then I get it out of my inbox. So I try to keep, that's my queue system for my email coming in. So that's another way of organizing, making sure that you're getting inbox. By the way, this Tiago Forte, he actually does a workshop, I guess you would say. It's a demo or a tutorial or whatever you want to call it on setting up your Gmail to process all your emails, getting to inbox 0 or whatever. So look up Tiago Forte and Gmail or something like that, and you should be able to talk about. He goes through and he shows somebody how to set all the settings so you can have the keyboard shortcuts and everything to quickly get through and clean out and either reply to all or to archive or whatever it is, making sure that you could get through this very quickly. So if you get the process down, it substantially improves things. It's like I'm just answering an email and I just hit E and that archived the email. You didn't see that, but that's anyway. I've got the email window right here. I just hit E, boom, archive. And then it went to the next message. That's another key thing. And it shows you how to set all that up. Anyway, I keep elaborating on it. I think you guys get the point. The organized step is all about processing, maybe not deeply processing the thing, but just figuring out where you're going to put the thing maybe taking a quick note of the thing or doing some sort of little action item about the thing, and then sending it along in the queue into a place where you can find it later if you need to, if that's relevant. And then there's distill, and that's all about really finally actually looking at the things that you've been collecting and stuff like that and searching for. So he talks about how he thinks that the best way to organize things is by project. So if you're working on a book, maybe things that you're coming across on the web might be relevant to the book. And so whenever you capture it, whenever you get to organization stuff, you say, oh, well, this is relevant to my book. Well, it just goes into my book folder or whatever, my book label or my book tag. And that's where everything goes for the book. And then when you get to the distill method, that's when you start looking through all the articles and you're making the highlighting and you're distilling and you're kind of reworking. You're trying to summarize things to a certain extent so that you can, even if you come back to it later, you can get a quick summary and get caught back up again on what this was about. So if you read through an article, if you finally had time to sit down and read the article and you go, okay. Well, I'm not going to, maybe I'll write this quick one sentence about why this article is good. Or maybe I can just highlight this sentence that just says why this article is good. Maybe that's good enough. But you're kind of distilling the whole article down to things that you can just at a glance quickly tell what's going on with this article and why it's relevant. And then the last step is express, show your work. So this is all about taking all of these notes that you've been collecting. Maybe you've been collecting them for your book and everything, and you're pulling these different sources from everything, and you're actually creating things from it. So once you have a big enough body of information, these notes that you collected, you have enough thoughts kind of like floating around. Once you get big enough, you have enough thoughts that you've written around that you can start rearranging and organizing them. Maybe you write an article, maybe you write a book, maybe you write a tutorial, maybe you make a video, maybe, you start expressing it. So maybe you're an artist. Maybe you've been collecting different interesting, I don't know, still lives or something like that, or different fruit bowls or something. I don't know, whatever artists do or whatever. You've been collecting samples of art and stuff that you're giving you inspiration. And then when you finally want to do this work or whatever that you're working on, you have all of these handy notes to say, okay, well, this is what I need to do. These are the colors that this needs to use, and this is the theme I want. I know nothing about art, but you get the point, right? If I was making music, maybe I'm collecting a bunch of music that's in a kind of a style of a song that I'm kind of riffing on, and I don't know. I don't make music. I play music. I don't make music, so I can't really say for there. But if that's your thing, everybody has an impressive. I am a programmer, so I could speak to the. I am constantly watching tech talks. I'm constantly getting new ideas from tech talks, and honestly, most of it is a lot of bullcrap. But occasionally, you get these really good insights that kind of shift like all of my understanding about all of my work and everything, and this huge body of knowledge. And so I have all of these tech talks and stuff, but it's hard for me to be able to reference them. But now that I have like the Readwise stuff, I have this whole queue. I went ahead and went through all of them and added to my Readwise account. And so now I'm going back through these things, and even these YouTube videos. This was the one why I wanted to use Readwise specifically. The Readwise reader is that I could play the video and it has the transcript. At least the very least it's an automatically generated transcript. Sometimes it might be the real transcript, but at least an automatic transcript that I can actually highlight passages out of the thing, so I can find exactly the point in, and it links to the time step in the video of when it was said, which is amazing. So I can get back exactly to where I need it, and I could go forward or back to try and get more and more context about what was said, getting back. And it's just, that's honestly, that's like it's like 80-90% of the tech information that I get through is tech videos, conference talks, basically. Conference talks and sometimes tutorials and demos and stuff like that, but a lot of tech talks. And so having me being able to synthesize that from the video, synthesize it into to where I can search for it in textual terms. So I can highlight the passages or whatever, and now I can come back and I can search through my highlights to find a term that I've been looking for, and I can find the exact video that I'm looking for if I need to say, where did I hear this from? What was I remember something was related to this and I just can't remember where. Because it's all digital, and because I have highlighted these passages, I can do a text search and find these things again. And so this has been fantastic, at least for me. I just love it. And I think over time it's going to, I just added this to my workflow this year, and it's already been fantastic. It's really good. I was using, before, like I said, I was using the Tech Talks, I was using just bookmarks, but my go-to place to put things was OneNote. But OneNote wants you to kind of like categorize things. They want you to put folders on things, and there was a lot of upfront organization that you kind of had to do, and plus it was a bloated program. It was a more heavyweight program than I wanted to. I just wasn't really feeling it, so I moved completely away from OneNote. And that's, like I said, I use Readwise, and those are my capture methods. And now, and then I have the Readwise Reader, which lets me organize and distill. And then once I've done the organization and distill, then I move to Express. And it's by Express, I have an app called Obsidian. It's a free app, and all of it's done, for the most part, is all done in just Markdown files, which is really drew me into it. So it's not a proprietary program. So if you do, some people do their notes in things like OneNote, or what's the Evernote, or Notion. But I use Obsidian because it's offline first, so I could just back everything up on just like a Google Drive, or like I'm using iCloud, the iCloud drive or whatever, to just back up the files, because they're just regular Markdown files. There's little text files. They're human readable. It's super simple to work with, and I write all my notes that way. And there's a plugin for Readwise, so whenever I write my notes and then I archive the thing, it automatically gets synced to my Obsidian. There's a Readwise folder in Obsidian, so now I can reference in my notes. So my daily notes, or like I do my I do my D&D prep for each one of my D&D sessions or whatever. Whenever I'm DMing, I do the prep there, and I can reference any note with a little hyperlink to another note. It's very easy to reference notes to notes. It's just that linking makes everything, but it's all just simple links and Markdown files, and it's super easy to work with, and it's not proprietary. And so that's what I use. It's Readwise, Obsidian, and then just reminders, and then my scheduling thing is right now it's really Google Calendar, but I'm using Morgan for scheduling, and that handles tasks and my calendar, and of course Google for email. I don't have a dedicated. I just use the Gmail online Gmail application. But that's like my whole productivity system. But that's building your second brain, is coming up with tools that you're going to work at. And that's just what I'm working with now. Maybe there's something that comes out later. Maybe there's something that I'm working with now that I kind of really don't like, and then I moved on to something later. But it's an evolving system. You shouldn't fall into the thing where you have to get it right the first time. You're gonna find out what you want as you work with it, and then it'll evolve over time. But that's all about building a second brain, is going through that process. I will say this is a tech talk. This wasn't my first introduction. I didn't learn about the second brain. The second brain is kind of like a branded thing for Tiago Forte, but the whole process of like capturing things and then processing and having like a common place where you go to reference it where everything is. I learned years ago, actually, from another tech talk. It was from what's his name? Let me use my notes. Scott Hanselman. And woman. Yeah, he does some talks about personal productivity. Scott Hanselman he's a developer, works for or developer advocate or something. He's like a peer person for developer for the .NET developer community or whatever for Microsoft. And he's an excellent speaker. And he has a great blog, the Hanselman blog. You look it up. But he's really funny and it's a great. But he does this talk. And he has several different variations of it, but basically it's about personal productivity. And one of the things that he introduced to me to was, look, just have a place where you can capture things quickly and just have one place where everything goes to eventually. That way, if you want to find something, you don't have to remember, what did I put it here, or did I put it over here, or did I put it over here? No, it goes to the one place, and that's it. And there was other tips as well, but that's where I got the idea of capturing and processing and then putting things in one place, so you could find them later. And that's how I got to OneNote. And I did that for years with OneNote, but it was such a bear to work with because it's not easy to work with on mobile. It's just, anyway. Point is find your system and eventually get there. I would look at that Scott Hanselman talk. That's a good talk as well. He's a funny guy, very very informative talk as well. So anyway, we're rambling on. I think we're getting up to another 30 minutes. Geez, I've been going too long on these videos. But so yeah, this was building a second brain, a proven method to organize your digital life and unlock your creative potential by Tiago Forte. And so that's the latest Confusing Bits review. We're going to continue going through these books here, and I'll see you guys probably in a week. So, bye guys.